So I was going to do some of these videos whilst I'm walking, but I didn't want to risk getting hit by a car. But look at this. Like, how's that for a view? Good morning. So today is a rest day. So I'm not going to train, but I do have lots of meetings to do. So what I'm going to do is sort out my nutrition for the day. So the first thing I've done is yesterday I made a big stew, and inside of it, basically in the slow cooker, I put mince, steak and corn, and then some chili sauce, and then some normal like tomato based sauce, so that would all be ready overnight. And then now what I'm going to do is make a big shake. I say a big shake, like this isn't crazy, a big shake that's going to have a decent amount of macros in for today, but I'm going to track it as I go. So I'm using Macro Factor because it's easy and it means I'll be able to get my calories in as we go during the day. So the first thing that I'm going to put in is some lactose-free skimmed milk. People have a problem with skimmed milk or normal milk or whatever, but the good thing is that I don't care, and it's just about having a variety of different foods and stuff. So I'm going to put in about 250 mils of this, 250 grams, which is close enough to 250 mils. That's the first thing, lactose-free milk. Tracked that. Now, the next thing I'm going to put in is 300 mils of kefir. So it's the strawberry flavour one, so it does give it a little bit of flavour. So that will take that up to 580, nearly there, 590, close enough. It's not going to make any difference. And then the next thing I'm going to put in is some chocolate milk with high protein. So I will put in, let me have a look, maybe if I put in 500 mils of this, or maybe less, maybe just 250. So put that in as well. This is all really exciting stuff. Yeah, 250 mils of that. And then the next thing I will do is I'm going to take some Ghost protein, the vegan stuff again, and I'll put in just about 30 grams or so. Main reason for adding this in is to give it a little bit more like texture to it. So let's see how many we get. 34 grams. That extra 4 grams will be why I don't actually lose any fat with it. So the vegan Ghost Whey, so track that as well. 34 grams. And then I have some chocolate peanut butter powder. So for that, I'm gonna add, this is like, I think this stuff is great. You hardly need to use any of it to get the taste of peanut butter in it. So 5 grams of that, we'll track that. And then the last thing to add into it, because I'm still not at the point of where I'm getting super hungry yet. And I mean, like on my training days, I'm still having 3,000 to 4,000 calories. So yesterday was like 3,900 and something calories, which is more than enough for a normal day. But today I aren't going to be doing a right lot physically. So banana goes in as well. We have, that banana was 90 grams, but I'm not going to count it as a different weight to any others. So this entire meal, this entire shake, I should say, is 70 grams of protein, 90 grams of carbs, and 25 grams of fat. So it's about 900 calories. Now, what I think I'm going to do is blend this up, and then once I've blended it, then I'm going to put some ice in it, because then it'll keep it cooler for longer. After last week, after Monday's fiasco with the blender exploding everywhere, it was a problem in the mechanism, so I bought a new one. So I have the new one here. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm just going to leave this playing. I'm going to put the microphone into it and leave it playing. I'm not really. I'm going to pause it whilst I do this. One sec. Well, it's blended and it's not gone everywhere, so that's good. Seems to have got all the bits of, sometimes you get protein stuck to the side, so that seems good. So this will be my sustenance for the next few hours. So I'm going to have this drink, and then I've got the steak stuff that's in the slow cooker. That meal's like 70 grams of protein, 750 calories. And then I have, yesterday, when I went to the shops, there was a whole cooked chicken, and it was just as they were reducing them, so it was like £2 something. So I bought that. I had half of that yesterday and half of that today. So I seem to be over my distaste for chicken on the bone, so I got half of that as well. So all of that comes together. So there's also some veg and stuff like that in the steak. All of that together is 207 protein, 125 carbs, and 86 fat for 2,090 calories for today. So that'll be the basic plan for nutrition for today. In terms of actual exercise, what I'm going to do, this isn't the exercise part, but what I'm going to do is just tidy up the house a little bit. It's nothing crazy, but just like tidy it up before I get to work. Then working during the day, I will do what I can do on the treadmill, like use my desk and on the treadmill at the same time. Some stuff you need to like think about it more, and then I'll have 45 minutes ish of cardio to do. I've done that every day this week. It's fairly nice actually. I've been using that time to update and reply to messages and stuff, so it's a good use of time. Passes quick. The only downside is, because fitness comes back really quickly if you've been fit in the past, is that I'm having to work harder, even like 3 days in compared to day one, to keep my heart rate at the zone that I want it to be at. So that's what I'm going to do with that. I keep looking outside because, so we're moving away from here, and it's for practical reasons. But if I showed you the view outside, I'll just show you. Come with me, 1 second. So I was going to do some of these videos whilst I'm walking, but I didn't want to risk getting hit by a car. But look at this. Like, how's that for a view? So this will be something that I'll miss when we leave here, and looking at this around here. So this is the view from outside the house. Yeah, such a good view. When it's snowed like this as well, it looks fantastic, but it's just not practical. So we'll head back in. Yeah, so view outside of here is great. It's nice. There's underfloor heating in here as well. So even though it's freezing outside, it's nice and warm in here. If I can, if I get a chance, I'm gonna try and go for a walk outside. I like it when it's the snow. It's like the crunch of the snow underneath. I don't like walking in the ice. Just had far too many priors in the ice. That's too much of a problem. So what I'm going to do now, tidy up, crack on with some work. I'll see if there's any questions or anything from anyone in my group. If there are, I'll jump back on here and film them. And if not, there might not be a right lot else to add to today, to be honest. It's just going to be a case of like getting stuff done. Right, forgot what I was going to say. Done a few meetings, and in that time I've gotten through about half of this. Now, I was slightly wrong on the macros for the day because I forgot that I've got some apples I need to eat and got some other veg that just needs eating so it doesn't go off, and like it's still going to be a big deficit, so that's not a problem at all. The weather, it's so sunny now, but there's still snow everywhere, so I'm going to try and get out. I've just got like a spare 5 minutes or so now before my next appointment, so do that, and then after that and try and get outside for a bit. That'll be good. Just like get some sunlight. I do think it's good for you. And a quick little thing. One of the questions I got was about ice baths and about saunas and what my thoughts are on them. I look at everything. I'm looking at this through the lens of strength. So I'm not talking about health. I'm not talking about anything else, just strength. So from a strength perspective, ice baths are probably not a very good idea. Inflammation happens when you train. You want that inflammation because that's where everything comes and then repairs what's been done, the damage that's been done. So that then causes an adaptation. That's a more succinct way of putting it. Now, the analogy I like to use is, if you've got a motorway and on that motorway there's a crash. The crash happens and obviously you need emergency services to get there and deal with it. If you stop that, that's like the inflammation. So short term, if you stop the emergency services getting there, you can just drive past that crash and people can keep going and you can keep working. But long term, you need the crash clearing up. So you need the emergency services to come, you need the inflammation to come, you need everything to come, the nutrients and everything to recover, or in our case, to then adapt. It's not just recovery we want, so that then everything works properly again. So, using that analogy and applying it to us as strength athletes, in the short term, if you have an event where you need to just get back to baseline as fast as possible so you can continue, but you're not looking to fix the problem, then ice can be helpful. So real good example is if you've got a multi-day event, so CrossFit for example, say you've got CrossFit events back to back to back for 4 or 5 days, using ice in that situation, ice baths, brilliant. It's going to help you get back towards your baseline. But for long term, it's going to interfere with training. Now, there isn't tons and tons of research on this, so I might watch this back in a year's time and have a completely different opinion. But right now, based on the research that I've seen, that's the approach that I take, is that it's probably not beneficial. So I'm neutral to negative on ice baths for strength athletes, for strength. Mentally, there's probably some benefits. And from a health perspective, there's probably some benefits, but they don't outweigh the negative side effects, in my opinion, for just purely for strength. Now, I would take a similar approach with that as I would with cardio. So the more extreme you do cardio is how it's going to impact your strength training. So if you're doing extremely hard cardio extremely often, that's going to impact your strength. If you're doing tons and tons and tons of ice baths really often, that's probably going to impact your strength. If, however, you split the two up and do them as far away from each other as possible, the interference between the two is probably going to be minimal. So like, for example, I'm doing about 45 minutes of cardio. Usually, I've actually ended up doing it on an evening because that's the furthest away and just what works practically. Whereas if I was to do 45 minutes of cardio, then lift, that's going to interfere more. If that 45 minutes was more intense, that's going to interfere more. If it was then sprints, it's going to interfere more. If it was running, it's going to interfere more and more and more and more. And the more extreme you take things, the more of an impact they're going to have one to another. And it's the same thing with saunas. The difference with saunas are I'm neutral to positive on saunas from a strength perspective, whereas I'm neutral to negative for the ice baths. Now, the reason for that is I do believe from an endurance perspective that saunas can be beneficial, especially post-endurance session, like a cardio session. It's an easier way to keep getting some of the benefits of the cardio without the extra wear and tear on your joints. I do also think a super underutilized benefit of a sauna is if you have a sauna in your gym, before you go into train, whilst you're wearing your clothes, just go and sit in the sauna for 2 or 3 minutes and you will get physically warm faster. And then when you actually get moving, you'll just have warmed up quicker. So I do think I'm neutral to positive on the saunas. So if I had access to it, I would use them. Now the caveat to that is you obviously got to make sure you're hydrated, not just with water. Make sure you're getting your salts, your electrolytes, minerals, all that good stuff too. So that's my general thoughts on the two. As with most things, the devil is in the dose, the details in the dose, the whatever's in the dose, whatever the thing is. So the more of it you're doing, the more extreme you're doing, the more of an impact it's likely to have. And the same the other way around. So in general, if you're looking maximise strength, probably wouldn't do ice baths. Probably would use saunas after doing the cardio sessions when you've got cardio in your program, and I would probably use a sauna before training just to physically get a little bit warm. It's worth bearing in mind as well, hopefully you understand that there is a difference between external heat and internal heat, but you will still help raise your internal temperature as you do it. Raising your internal... That was my alarm for the next meeting. When I talk about raising your internal temperature, I don't mean your core body temperature. I mean the temperature inside your joints and your muscles. So like it's not significant extent, but basically to get everything moving, get the blood flowing, get everything gliding nicely and smoothly, ready so you can go into your session like fully prepared. So with that said, I've completely lost my train of thought now. Right, if I get another break, we'll have more of a chat. If not, that'll be it. Welcome back to MasterChef with me. It is late in the evening. I need to do far better on my rest days in terms of my nutrition and stuff. It's not consistent at all. Now, what I'm going to do is make a massive mess in the kitchen. What I'm going to do is split this up. This is the chili corn steak thing contraption that I said about. I have no idea how it's going to taste. Smells pretty good though. So I think there was like half a kilo of steak, half a kilo of mince, and half a kilo of corn, because I'm saving the environment. So I'm just looking for a big spoon or something so I can dish it up. I was gonna originally split it up into 4, but I just had a look at my macros for the day, and that will give me about 225 grams of protein. And although I don't mind having more protein, I don't want to have the extra calories that come with it when I don't need them. If I'm not training, I'd rather have the extra calories from extra carbs. And do you know why? It's because insulin is anabolic. There's a reason why bodybuilders take lots of insulin. I don't know what specifically they take, but there is a reason why bodybuilders, when insulin was introduced, started getting ginormous. It's because insulin is very anabolic. So if you can have extra carbs in your diet when you're trying to get muscular, it's probably better, because protein is like binary. You're either getting enough protein or you're not getting enough protein. So I need to dish this up. If I've got 6, well, I suppose I don't need 6 containers, do I? I only need 5, because then I'll eat out of the last one. Sounds like something broke, doesn't it? So I'm going to dish this up. It's going to be a super exciting video. I put up an Instagram Q&A earlier, so I'm going to go through some of that whilst I sort this food out. Just move this down. So, MasterChef with Adam. Here are the portions. I've got about half an hour before my next meeting. Just looking for a bowl. This sized bowl will do. Shall I do the Instagram live now? Let me go have a look. So you're on one phone. This has actually been super handy, because although this phone is... So there's a lot about this phone that doesn't work, but it's still okay for slow stuff. So for Instagram, let's see what these 2 questions are. Oh, there's more than 2 now. How nice. So the first one, how often do you incorporate cardio into your training program? Well, if you watch my current training, right now it's 7 days a week. So every single session. Well, I don't have a good answer for that, because it really just does depend. The further away from competition, the more often I would do cardio. the further away from a competition, the harder the cardio would be. The closer to a competition, the easier the cardio would be. And the closer to a competition, the lower stress the cardio would be as well. So when I talk about stress, I don't just mean from like a cardiovascular perspective, I also mean from like a joints perspective. So for example, if I was to run, because by the time I've eaten and I'm dressed and stuff, I'm going to be close to 100 kilos. That's a lot of weight to be going through my knees and ankles and stuff. That will impact my strength training if I'm going and doing hard running sessions. For me and my goals, that's not worth it. Now, when I'm in my off season, further away from competition, it is worth it because it's fun and it's good to be able to do stuff. But you've got to look at the things you want to do short and long term. So in general, I wouldn't do that much cardio. But now we're far away from competition and I need to increase my fitness. So the fastest way to increase it is to do more of it. So right now, I'm doing 45 minutes. Well, 45 minutes is the target. So the target is for the 45 minutes to keep my heart rate at 120 or up. I say or up, I don't really want it going much above like 140-ish. Maybe 145 would be okay. I don't mind if it's slightly higher. I'm doing it mostly on the bike just because I have that bike over there in the back of the house. Can you zoom in? No. Mostly just because I have the bike there and it has the desk on it. So I can use the bike desk to do other work whilst I'm doing it. So it's a really low intensity. So after this competition is done, it'll depend on what other events that are going on during the year. I would like to try and get some time abroad. So if I'm going abroad, that means I probably won't be training for a competition. And the reason for that is, whilst going away, I would want to spend my time actually enjoying being away. And although I do like training, it would it would mean it's an extra thing that I have to do whilst on holiday, which I don't particularly want to do, of having to train instead of just training when I want. So when I go on holiday, I would have like a to-do list of training to do for the week, and I would just do it as and when I can, rather than it being you have to do this on this day and this on this day. And because of the level I'm at with my training, one second. Because of the level I'm at with my training and stuff, it means that for me to actually make significant progress towards my ultimate goal of getting super strong, jacked and massive and lean and strong. To be fair, the other elements I could do without as much of a plan. But to get much stronger, I need to have things fairly dialed in. I need to have things set up pretty well. So I wouldn't want to have that pressure whilst I'm on holiday, because I want to enjoy being on holiday, and I would go and train for the sake of it being fun. So I would look at that as like an off season. So in that case, I wouldn't do as much training, or I might do lots of training, but I would want more flexibility with it. So I would want to not have to go at set days and times. So then that would mean I would do more cardio because it's more fun and it's good to train the things that you're not good at. It would keep things fresh, ready for when I get back into normal strength training and stuff. And there are obviously other benefits from like a longevity perspective and stuff from doing cardio. So I would do hard cardio. This is terrible. Hard cardio, easy cardio, all that sort of stuff. In terms of programming for other people, it really does depend again on the goals, on the phases, on the whatever else. One thing I wouldn't do, one thing I don't do, is use cardio for fat loss. Because I tend to find you would really struggle to actually do enough significant amount of cardio for it to impact fat loss results. I would rather have people do more general activity, so more neat, non-exercise associated thermogenics. So that raising that, doing more steps, being more active, moving around, these things are easier to raise and increase and easier to track. There's less of a pressure, and also they're less fatiguing, so less likely to impact other training. With that said, if someone was in a time crunch, we could add cardio in, but I tend to mainly work with people that want to get jacked and massive and lean and strong, mostly the strong component of it. So the cardio and the super fat loss is not usually a huge priority. Usually the people I work with get leaner as they're getting stronger anyway, just because they start to sort the rest of their life out, like all the basics, you know. The next one, tips for low bar squat position in terms of shoulders, hand placement, etc. Yeah, put the bar low. I don't know how much I can show you on this. What I tend to do is I try and look for an angle that means that your wrists are not irritated. So for me personally, I can't actually get into position without any weight on in the bar, without going super wide. So I have the bar sat about here, but my grip when I squat is about here. I need the weight to get me into position. That doesn't hurt my wrist, it doesn't bother my wrist personally. In terms of specifics, there are lots of exercises you can do. The best is to do the movement and try and get in position. The stretch I really like is using a broomstick or something like that. I would have the broomstick here, and then I would grab hold of it and push your elbow forwards like that. So this position here is like my favorite accessory for improving shoulder mobility for a low bar squat. So what I would do is, going into the low bar session, between every set, I would do about 50 of these. So as you do it, gently pushing to the point of a little bit uncomfortable, and then relax. Uncomfortable, relax. I do about 50 of these, 50 on the other side, do a set, see where you can get the position, rinse and repeat. The reason I would do it active rather than passive is if you just passively try and hang out here, what you'll do is, I don't know if you saw me do that, is you'll start to just extend your spine instead, because you want you to keep your spine still, and it's that elbow movement there that we want to get that external rotation in your shoulder. That'll be the main thing there. In terms of hand position and stuff, it'd be the same thing of looking at what you can do without wearing wrist wraps. Again, this is a personal thing, because I want to spend more time abroad. I don't have to take lots of kit with me when I'm away, so I try not to wear wrist wraps and stuff anyway, and over time just built up a tolerance to not need them. So I would look at trying not to need them. You want to try and find a way that's comfortable. So that's the main stuff. It would be easy to show you things in the gym if I remember. Next time I'm squatting, I can talk more about it. So this is what I'm going to have now. Doesn't look great, smells good, it's very warm. That was definitely corn. Just tasted like mush. That's just steak. So the corn, it's just like mush. It's extra protein, it was cheap. Steak in it is very good. The mint is good, chili sauce is good. And I'm gonna also have a couple of apples too. I'm gonna sit down, chill out for a bit. I think I've done about 9,000-ish steps so far. So I'm gonna have this, got another meeting, do that, do more of my steps, do more of my steps, wrap up a bunch of work stuff, and then I'll do my cardio at some point this evening, potentially when I edit yesterday's video. I'm not sure yet, I've not decided, so we'll sort that out. And also, this is like the easiest meal prep ever. So I just put the slow cooker in the sink to soak, and the only reason I put it into soak is because the dishwasher is on at the minute. So as soon as the dishwasher's done, I will put that in. The dishwasher is like such a life hack. I can't believe I went nearly 30 years without having one. When I bought it, best thing ever. I'm such an old man for being excited about that as well. Anyway, I just chucked everything in it yesterday. Like, literally just poured it all in. And then today you just saw me prep it. I've got 6 meals here. Each one of these meals, have I got 6? No, yeah, I have got 6, but I've tracked it wrong. I need to change that. 0.167. That's roughly 1 divided by 6. So this meal, with having 2 apples and this, is 45 protein and 600 calories. That's perfect, really. Super easy to do. That just goes in a slow cooker, and it's meal prep now for a couple of days. I don't think that I haven't really got much else to say today, to be honest with you. There's nothing been super exciting, not even at the end of the week. Hunger isn't a problem. I don't think there's any changes in my physique because it's been like 4 days. Today's day 5. My hamstring today feels good. Tomorrow is bench, so that will be lovely. I think I'm going to have to bench early-ish in the morning. So what I'm going to do is before I go to the gym in the morning, I'm going to make sure I'm up early enough so I can have some like rehydration sachets and stuff first, so I don't have the reasons for anything to be off, and I'm going to get really wrapped up. Also, big brain moment, what I'm going to do is put the car screen cover on so the car isn't covered in ice first thing, so that I don't have to mess about defrosting it. That's a proper life hack, is to get a car screen cover for when it's cold. And I bought it in like springtime, so it was like £10 or something. Now they're about 50 quid or something. But yeah, one of the best purchases. I will see you guys in the gym tomorrow. If you want me to keep doing these days, then I'm going to need some kind of reinforcement. So like the video, comment on the video or something and let me know. If not, then I'll probably just stop doing the days that I'm not at the gym, because there's nothing like, I don't have anything to tell future me today, you know? I suppose a lesson for future me is to plan my days better on my non-training days. Yeah, I know. A lesson for future me. Non-training days, I need to plan out my diary so that I have time to eat, and force myself to eat at those set times. I think that will be a good idea. Right. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.